talk about some of the nuts and bolts of the writer's workshop and how I run mine now. So in the past, I was kind of confused, honestly, like about how to run the writer's workshop, because I studied Nancy Atwell, Lucy Calkins, and Ralph Fletcher, and I was seeing things like we should be doing the workshop where the kids, essentially what they're going to write about is whatever they want to write about. They have full reign of whatever they want to do, and they should be in charge of their own writing and what they do. Then in some of the literature, it talks about using the workshop to teach a research essay. So we're supposed to do it this way, and we're supposed to go through the research process in the workshop. But the two always kind of felt different to me as far as what the goal is and what the kids were supposed to expect about that time. Now, when I changed it was because of something that happened when I was an author and I was out doing school visits with students. And here's something I noticed. A lot of times, you give your talk, and then the kids would raise their hand, ask questions. And there was this one question that would come up that kind of shocked me. And almost everywhere I went, there was some kid that raised their hand and they said, "What do you do about writer's block?" And I was like, you're 10 years old. Why are you worried about writer's block? And then I realized that some of these kids are having a difficult time when they're doing their writing sessions, because it's almost like they cannot come up with what to write about and where to go next with it. And I think that in my experience, when I was back in the classroom, I noticed that some kids kind of shut down if there's too much wide open choice. There are many of them who are like, got it, I'm on it, I'm going to write a novel, I'll be right back, right? But there's a bunch of them that are like, what? I'm supposed to write about whatever I want. And it was not good for some of them. They would shut down. They'd put their head down. They'd say, I don't know what to write about. They'd throw their pencil. They would, behavior problems started because they didn't know what to do. And I call it the Netflix effect. So you know how when you're trying to look for a movie and you go on to Netflix and you end up spending 45 minutes looking for a movie because there are a million of them. And you never settle on one because you're always worried that the next thing that you click on might be a little bit better than what you just looked at, and you never decide. So what I do instead is I have my students go down one of 3 avenues. They get choices of which street they want to go down for what they're going to write about that day. And I'm going to go over the details of this over on the screen so you can see how I handle this part of the workshop. So another video that I did, I talked about how to set the mood in Writer's Workshop, and I showed these 5 things that I go through to set up my workshop each year, the 5 steps. One of them was how to set the mood, and that's a whole video that I want you to go back and look at as far as how to make that Writer's Workshop time super special. There's some certain things that I do there. And the next thing is to talk about the challenge, which is what they're going to be writing about. That's what we're going to talk about today. The other parts are student leaders, the power lessons themselves, and then how you do diamond mining. So I'm going to be doing a video on each one of these and digging in a little deeper for each of those. But please always leave me questions if there's something you want me to go over in more detail. So let's talk about, though, this one, issuing the challenge, which is what they're going to write about. And I was talking about how they're getting writer's block when they shouldn't be, because they're kids and they need to be creative and let the juices flow. So I give them 3 avenues to work through. And so here's what they are. They can work on genre street or B, and this that I added just really is what changed everything, was rants and raves, and I'll show you what that looks like. And then C is spinner prompts, and I'll show you what my spinner prompts look like too. So they can either go down genre street, rants and raves, or spinner prompt avenue. And within that, they have some choices, but usually by then, once we kind of put all this up, they quickly know oh yeah, I really want to go do that one. So let me show you. Let me back out of here real quick. I'm going to show you, this is a Padlet. If you've ever used this, I love Padlet. We do a digital writers workshop sometimes. My kids really love to do this so that they can comment on each other's online. And so you can make a class blog over on Padlet. And what these are these columns that you can make, you can have these categories. And so these are the genre ones here. So they can either write in fantasy, personal narrative, science fiction. I'll skip over this one and I'll come back to it in a second. The Western one, which I love. The spooky one. Oh my gosh, I love doing the spooky. And then over here, I added a column here for them so that if they wanted to listen to some music, I let them listen to music. I have a selected playlist that matches each one of these genres. So if they wanted to do fantasy, this is your fantasy playlist. It sounds so cool. Personal narrative writing one has one, sci-fi, the letter writing, which is the rants and raves, Western music, spooky music. It really gets them in the mood. So if you look here in the middle with the rants and raves, this is what changed everything, I think, because these end up being letters, things you love or things that burn you up. So they could be, it could even be like a letter to writing. Like this is, I hate writing, or why do I not know what to write about? You write a letter about it. My kids did some funny things. They wrote to Amazon. They wrote about Harry Potter. They wrote a letter to UPS, to pet shop owners. And some of these were kids who like aren't normally, strong essay writers, but they get into this and it totally changes everything. So they have a genre. And then I added over here on the right, there's the spinner prompt column. So whatever it is that day, we put that in there and they could choose that. And you could have your students writing in their journal, of course, as well. But this was 8th grade. So they like to do this on Padlet. Let me show you the spinner prompts and how I do that. Let me hop over here. Okay, so I have these, and there's 3 different ones that they spin, and I found this way to do it so that you can do these on Google Slides and put them in present mode, but you can still click on them, and it'll take you straight to the wheel, and it feels like a real game here. So they click on this, and it's the you are one. So you are, and we'll find out who you are. They have great music and sound effects. And this is on Wheel of Names is where this is made. You are a dog groomer. So that's who they are. I have no idea what's going to happen here while we're doing this. So you're a dog groomer and you live, where do you live? I think I paused it. Okay, funny. Let me try it again. Maybe this will pop up. Okay, there we go. You live, where do you live? I love these. Okay, you are a dog groomer and you live deep in a mysterious forest. So that's who you are and where you live. But what's going on with you, dog groomer in the forest? Here we go. Dog groomer in the forest, and you need to find your missing best friend. So there are some kids who just like absolutely love having these prompts each time, and it's super easy. You can have one of your students even be in charge of being up there and doing the spinners, and then having them, I put them in the Padlet, what the 3 choices are from there. So that is how I figure out what they're going to write about, and it seems to be fixing a lot of those problems of, I don't know what to write about. I can't think of anything. If you can't think of anything, then you need to write me a letter about how difficult it is to think about anything and go put it in the rant and rave section. That seems to help a lot. So I'll put some links in the below about the spinners and some other videos for you to go and check out. So I hope that helped. Please leave some comments and I'll see you next time.